Jody, have you read our PDPB's proposal?
Yes, of course.
Because if you have read it, I think some of the things you were trying to address are already there. We may not agree on how we address. For example, staff analysis is part of it. And we even said when we should get the staff analysis, for example, is there. This issue, for example, about the consensus is there. When we notice this community that the rough consensus issue is not the definitions, it's the process. What was missing is the process to get to the rough consensus. It's not the definition, it's the process. So then all of these things are part of what we propose, and so you try just to repeat, maybe differently, etc. And also, sometimes I get a bit, anxious or nervous when you keep mentioning LACNIC. We are regional area. We should define our own policy which fit our issues. So, because this has got a consensus in LACNIC does not mean it will pass here. Okay, so, but then, on the issue of why you brought the new policy, you said two things. That you send mails before Dakar and after Dakar. I want, with the permission of the co-chairs, that we show the video from the Dakar meeting. Please, this is 3 to 4 minute video. Can staff play the video from the Dakar meeting? We had a section on Jordi's comment.
It's such a long video, Alain. Do you have a clip that you have prepared? Okay, if it's just a few minutes, then I believe it cannot be accommodated here.
Video, because I continue.
Okay, Alain. The point of the...
Biade, please arrange to play the video if you have it.
Okay, so the point of watching the video is to establish what exactly?
Because the point was, why do we have a second proposal? So how it addressed was not the main issue. So it was just waste of time. The main concern here was, why did you have to...
I have been doing so for many years, and I think one consideration that the community need to understand is that, especially in the PDP, but in general in all the policy proposals, it's really difficult to make it perfect to first round. So that's my reason to support it. I think it's quite good. It's very, very close to what we have at RIPE, and I think it's one of the best PDPs that we have in the community. I made just a couple of comments, and this is look for improvement in the future. I actually had reached consensus in my policy proposal last week in LACNIC in Panama for also a change in the PDP process, and I think some of the things that I considered when doing that policy proposal are also useful here. Very, very quickly, one of them is that I really think, and there was a comment this morning also about that, I really think asking the chairs to decide about the consensus during the meeting is no way. They are superior enemies, but not really Superman to take that decision. And I would suggest that you improve, if approved in this round, in the next, with a new version, you really take in consideration that they need to have about 2 weeks, I will say, after the meeting for deciding about the consensus, and then I will suggest 1 extra week after the last call. Okay, this will give them a better balance of looking at all the comments and so on. And the other thing that I believe needs to be very clear is a very good definition in the policy itself of both consensus and last call. I suggested some explicit text in English, so you can take a look on that. And finally, my last input is what it was. Okay, I understand from your policy proposal that you want to make sure that the chairs consider also the inputs, not just in the meeting, but also in the mailing list. I think that's not sufficiently explicit, and can help to provide some text, or maybe I already did, I don't recall right now, about how to improve the proposal to do that as well. But because I really think the balance between the people that participate in the meetings and the people that can contribute in the mailing list, it's quite different. Not everybody can pay the expenses to come to the meetings, and obviously you will have more contributors if you really take them in consideration, because that's a much broader community. Thank you.
So, that, I think the video speaks for itself. You said you did something before Dakar, but in Dakar you said you support and you promised text, but I haven't seen any text. Co-chair, can you tell if Jody sent any text to the RPD mailing list?
Yeah, I have sent the text. It's in the archives. I have sent the text, and I never got a response, and that's the reason. After waiting for 6 additional months, I decided to send a new policy proposal, because I didn't got a response. And all what I am saying there is correct. I am not going to deny that I was supporting at that point the policy proposal, but with the suggested changes I was proposing. And only one has been done, which is the 2 weeks period. But all the others have not been addressed. And I have then, actually, when I was doing my slides yesterday, I was also reading again very, very carefully your policy proposal, and I have 15 points that I think are really, really, really weak. I can go to read those points, or I can send those on the list, but I have specific things like the participation in the list. There is not a definition of the timing, so there is no way, if there is not a definition of the timing, that the chairs can measure the proposal consensus in the list. So there are still many, many missing things. Again, I can just read quickly them, and we can discuss about all of them, or I can send again to the list. But if you are not responding in the list, I'm not sure we are going to progress.
So, Co-Chair, can you confirm that you saw something like, you saw some comment from Jordi? Because we think we have not seen it. First, this. The second thing is that the thing we also need to make clear for people is not that because I brought text or I brought suggestion, it must be accepted. We have to discuss it. So it's not that because you, Jordi, wants A, B, C, D, we should all follow. One of the important things we agree on and we implemented is that's 2 weeks. So to show you that we listened to you and we took that on, but we are not obliged to follow or just accept everything. That's why we have RPD. So this discussion must happen on RPD. You put the existing text, okay, put the new text, then we discuss. Okay, it's not a matter of going through, you have, so me too, if I read yours, I have 20 weak point. So let's not do that, please, Jordi. So, Co-Chair, have you seen it? And if you've seen it and there was no response for us, so what was your approach as Co-Chair? Okay, because Co-Chairs also have a role in moderating and making sure we move forward.
Okay, so I'm not certain that I've seen any email that clearly outlines these points. You would also recall that my first response in seeing this text was to ask if engagement had been done with the authors of the PDP BIS proposal, to which Jordi's response was in the negative. Now, what would like to see here, because from the discussions you're having now, apparently Jordi still has inputs to make to the PDP BIS policy proposal. There needs to be more engagement. First, we'll hear from, I see long queues around. Very, very briefly, we'll hear from the community members in the room, how they'd like to...
There's a queue here. Which was first, actually?
Yeah, I said queues.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put the 1, 2, 3 people there behind this queue.
No.
So
okay.
round robin, and then the 3 there wait.
Maybe you do a jump.
You want to go to that side?
No, I mean because the timing of coming to the mic was almost similar. So if you put us behind.
No, the 3 people behind you.
Okay.
Because you've been standing there for a bit.
2 of us actually.
Oh, 2 of you. So anyway, would like to hear from you very, very quickly how you'd like to see this, because the important thing is that now there seems to be agreements that the PDP needs to be improved. So let's try and face the issues and see what's the best way to proceed.
Okay.
How many minutes? 1 minute. Okay. One comment. 1 minute max. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Daniel from Nigeria. I think we are coming to a solution. I see a solution here, and I'm happy that we played that video that clearly states. I think the problem there is that a member feels that he has made comments and those comments were not taken into consideration. However, the spirit behind this amendment, the update is that we all agree that there's need to be changes. So what the co-chair has mentioned is that the 2 authors of the 2 documents need to talk and get this straight out, because as a community, you are putting us in two lanes to drive a car on 2 lanes, and it's not fair. I will want to believe there are key points that Jody has raised which are very relevant, and I also believe there are key points raised in the other documents that are very relevant. And as a member of the community, I will want to see how we can marry those documents so that in the next meeting or whatever discussion or in the next document that will appear on the mailing list should be a marriage of the 2. And I'm happy that I see Alain and Jody discussing. So okay, let's marry that document, please.
Okay, so for those who are standing in the queue, can I see how many of you agree with Daniel's proposition, which is that the 2 sets of authors work together to improve the policy development process? So you have an addition to that. Can you give us that addition in 30 seconds, please? Sorry, Marcus.
Sorry. I'm Taiwo from Nigeria. I think they're going to keep arguing on this if we keep on with this. So I think Jody has a problem with them not communicating with him. They have points. He has a strong point that things that work in LATNIC don't need to work here. And he also has more experience in this part. But Jody has precise, definite, I don't know how to put it. He has, it's like this diagram now is very definite, very precise, and he has more precise points given. Sorry for that, but that's my opinion. He has more precise points given. So if they work together, they will be able to get a stronger proposal.
Okay.
Will be able to, yeah.
Thank you. Point taken. On the mic, please.
Thank you very much. The major point I want to make is we're still trying to solve...
Name and appellation, sir.
Oh, sorry. My name is Abdulkarim. I'm from Nigeria. We're still trying to solve a problem where no problem exists. I still do not think there is any problem with the existing PDP process. And that is my own opinion.
Okay, point taken.
Ok, je vais parler français pour faire plaisir à mes amis francophones. Donc, je suis sucré de la Tunisie. Je remercie.
Before topic goes ahead, is there anybody else on the queue who thinks that there is no problem with?
I would like to thank you for your suggestion during this event. So anybody who would like to follow our meetings remotely due to working decision circumstances is a good idea, actually. Besides, during this period of policy development is important to be followed by all of those who are interested. And But at the same time, I do think that there are some proposals that are taken for granted. For example, are we going to change and to adopt the legal address? This is just an example. For me, this doesn't require all this time to develop it as a policy. Doesn't necessitate such a long time. It's obvious. So my suggestion is that during the period of development, ideas gathering, and answers gathering with regard to a specific proposal, it must be collected by that person who had suggested the proposal. I am against standardization, and I am against the same period of time that we will allocate to all the proposals. Again, some proposals require some time and others require less because they are so obvious. Thank you. Hello, I am Serge Parfait from Congo.
This submitting proposal which are prior to the existing one is not healthy for this community. I recall on Rad Merelis, Jody wanted to propose a parallel policy like what he has done here, and the coach warned him not to do that. I can share the link. And he complied, but I don't know why he has brought this. The time we are spending now, we are wasting our time because he has introduced a policy which is not helping us. When he promised to help develop this policy, so please, co-chairs, I think you have to sit up and do the right thing. Otherwise,
suggest the way forward.
Otherwise, the way forward, he should withdraw the policy and contribute to this policy.
So you're advising Jody to
withdraw this policy and contribute more constructively to this policy.
Okay, point taken. Next.
Merci, Serge Parfait.
Thank you. I am Serge Parfait from the Republic of Congo. Marcus has tackled the issues that I had in mind. Well, I think that we must keep something. I mean, we can disagree with the policy. We are not required to be 100% for that policy. Actually, a document, it's not good to suggest a parallel document. It is a luxury that will go against the work that we were expecting to realize. I would like that our dear colleague withdraw his suggestion with regard to policy updates. Thank you.
If I well understood, every time we have points of weakness, we have to propose an SLBIS version 1, 2, and as you said, you find 15, so we expect 15 versions of the SLBIS. Please don't. We are already enough confused, and I think we have to focus on the proposal of the first team, because I know I was in the appeal committee. We worked with a problem of a rough declared consensus, and we didn't find behind us a strong PDP that could help us to work and decide. I think you should withdraw with a proposal, because you should contribute and comment rather than proposing another policy. Please don't confuse us, and I think it's a responsibility of the co-chair to decide when to pass a proposal to the community, because we are enough confused when you accept such second BIS proposal.
Okay, quick response to that, Wafa. The current policy development process does not preclude someone from submitting a parallel proposal. What we can do as co-chairs is to suggest to the person who's proposing, which we did.
We will update that in the PDP. Thank you.
Okay. Professor.
Yeah, let me just repeat something I said in Dakar. I'm Nikweno, by the way. I'm retired. In Dakar, I try to remind us that the fact that you are permitted to do does not mean you should do. So even though the policy process allows to have 10 proposals on the same narrow subject, I think it's not necessarily a good thing to do, especially for a community that has been through such turmoil regarding policies in the last couple of years. So for me, I think we should reset the clock back to Dakar and even pretend that this second proposal never occurred, okay? So that if we all have input to give to the current one that's on the table, we give, and we quickly try and get to closure. Because just as you said, there's nothing in there that gives you the power to say, no, I'm not going to take it. But the practice includes that you say, oh, this is not the best way. We want to build trust, okay, and strengthen our process. I don't think this helps us in that trust. So I'm actually really saying that, guys, just close your eyes, pretend this never happened, and just work through the detail and get one good thing out today. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Madri, remote?
Yes, Willie Manga speaking in his own capacity. He has one concern. Can we please take into consideration those who are not able to attend face-to-face meeting in the proposals? He has seen it in the Jordi's proposal, and he's asking if we can add it in the PDP process bis 4, for instance. And he has another comment concerning the first proposal, that means Alain's. They should revise it and take into consideration staff assessment, simplification. Simplification.
Thank you, Madri.
Grégoire Eoubi, du Bénin. Je vais parler en français.
I am from Benin. According to me, there is a problem. We need the review. I would have been able to send a third proposal onto the table, but we won't have time to discuss it. In the new proposal of Jordi, he insisted earlier on the fact to work on the menu list. And he said that he sent his proposal to the mailing list, but we haven't seen it. At least I personally haven't seen it. So I'm suggesting that the two groups will work, but we want it to be visible. I want them to work on the mailing list to be amended. I want us to be able to see amendment today on the mailing list. In Dakar, there were not visibly this point to be amended. So again, a new proposal just a few days before the new meeting. I insisted to carry on launching this idea, working on the mailing list face-to-face, yes, but we want everything to happen in an open way. And I don't want to hear that someone being told that you weren't able to open this or to see this. Thank you. I am Marwin from Cameroon. I am an engineer. I don't master well how things are going on. But from a rational point of view, if we must do some amendments to the proposals, if there are no reactions online, we risk to go from one proposal to another, a new proposal. So, as Grégoire said, if amendments are done and there will be no reactions, it won't reflect the overall agreement or contribution. We have to outreach people everywhere. I think it's important to focus on the modification related to the first version. But the risk, if there are no reactions, maybe we will start another proposal, and so on and so forth. I am Arnaud Amelina, CTO Togo Rare. I don't accuse Jody at all. He's playing his role, but I am accusing the Cote, he said. Cote has been elected by community members to organize the process implementation. But unfortunately, I don't see what they have been doing. Their first role is that they have said yes, and here is the agenda done. But I am sorry to tell you that we haven't seen them doing anything else. You have accepted to do this responsibility. It is your duty to fulfill your role. I don't see why co-chair shall fill the list of PDP. I don't see why the co-chairs shall remind the authors and community to do their contribution on policies that are under discussion now. I am sorry, but I'm convinced that this is your mistake. Secondly, with regard to the policy suggested by Mr. Jody, he said some proposals of update just 2 days before the meeting. This is not serious, honestly. If within his proper own policy, he's calling people to contribute on the list just 2 days before the meeting, before discussions face to face. Let's be sensible. Thirdly, I think that the co-chair is being manipulated or being trapped in the game. There was the SMD that's been withdrawn. It happened previously, and I think lessons should have been taken from previous meetings. It seems that you haven't, and you are allowing the same situation happening again. This is a trap done by others. If you want to actually to postpone a policy, you just create a new policy. So try to distinguish between things as fully due co-chair. It's true we have to guarantee a minimum of harmony between us, between people, and create the lists. For this, people must have time to discuss to reach a consensus. This is the way your job should be done. You are not simple bookkeepers, as some people think. You are more than that, and thank you.
1 second. Let me just quickly respond. Quick response to Arno. I don't know if you were in the room earlier in the day when we talked about this. Number one, on late submission, which you've mentioned, and I clarified that the document was submitted in good time, but it was not published. I did say that we've learned from that, and we would have authors send directly when it's so close to the timelines. Your other comment about the policy proposal coming in and co-chairs not doing their work, my first response, again, as I have explained earlier in this meeting, my first response was to ask the second author, have you worked with the authors of the existing policy proposal? To which he responded, quoting text showing that he tried to engage and that was not forthcoming. And then he further quoted text that the PDP does not preclude him from submitting. And at that point, we allowed him to submit. There's a PDWG submission email address for submission of email of policy proposals. You can choose to use that or use the mailing list. Next question, please.
Madhvi, speaking in my own personal capacity here. First time.
Without assistance.
Okay. So in this process, we have seen staff assessment. I'm okay when it comes to resource policies, but as just a bystander in this room here, these policies affect you as co-chairs. Have you read it? Does the text, do you understand what's required from you from these policies? Or is there something that you want to bring to the attention of the authors? Or are you simply just bookkeepers? You just follow the lines whether you understand it or not?
You've asked us several times to just watch and not contribute.
Okay, I'm Pascal from Nigeria. I think what we are seeing here today is we are actually thinking about our personal opinions rather than looking down to the whole of Africa. I mean, we are sitting down here, we are making decisions for millions of people out there who will connect to the internet tomorrow. We don't need to think about our own personal selves here, because this is what I'm saying here. I mean, we are becoming too political. It doesn't help those coming behind us. I mean, we are all Africans. Our aim and the aim of AFRINIC is to promote connections to the internet for those who are not here. So I think we need to put that behind our minds, that any decision, any updates to the PDP process is because of the love we have for those who will come behind us tomorrow. So we should not think about what we stand to gain, because basically we are at war with each other. That's what is happening here. And one more thing I want to say is that the policy development process should not be taking too much time, and sometimes some people should try to update or contribute to the mailing list fast enough, because maybe some authors submit their proposals late because they are trying to accommodate some contributions on the mailing list. Okay. And you see, 1 week to meetings, that's when people start giving their contributions. So how do they accommodate that? And one creature really also asks about those who participate remotely. I think that's very important, because if we just make decisions here and ignore those who are participating remotely, I think it doesn't help.
Okay,
so,
we don't ignore remote participants. Microphone queues are now closed. So if you're on the queue, last person on either queue is the last person on the queue.
Hello, avec Clément Orange. So I will first send my apology to my friend English spoken, because I will speak in French. Donc ce que je voulais...
On my behalf, and I think this is shared by the opinion of Orange and the overall Africa, I am optimistic. We will work soon in cooperation. Can you hear me? Oh. I repeat, I am optimistic on the fact that we can work together collaboratively over the subject. With regard to the problematics related to the two policies, I was frustrated concerning the first policy about the discussions on the soft landing. I think and with the problematic of the parallel discussions, not to have two similar discussions about one question, I think that we can work in a more constructive way on this topic. On the other hand, I think what's been tackled by Jody, that mailing lists are as important as face-to-face discussions is very good, I think. I am again very optimistic. I consider all of this discussion really constructive.
He said we should make sure that we leave this room with something acceptable to the community. So please, engage both of them. Let Jody make his input right now, so that when we are leaving this place, we have something acceptable. Because coming back again to discuss this is a waste of precious resources.
Okay, thanks, Marcos. Yes, sir.
So I'm speaking on as my own capacity. Just want to point out that the PDP needs to be updated, and let's reach a consensus today for the community, please.
Thank you. Next.
A comment from Douglas Anyango, remote participant. Jody, you have raised some very interesting points in your proposal. However, like Alain has pointed out, some of them are addressed in the proposal by Alain Co. Given how long we have debated the PD proposal, the policy development proposal, and how I believe your proposal will move forward, I would suggest that you explore submitting your feedback and see if it can come accommodated in the current proposal.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry. Thank you very much. You don't want to take us back, but I just want to clarify my earlier point. The point I was trying to make is, I do not see, when you look at the PDP process, the current PDP process, the major problem is not the process, but the way we try to manipulate the process to suit ourselves. And I think that is the major problem. If we do not solve that problem, 8 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, at the end of the day, the problem that we have will still surface again because we try to manipulate what is in existence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alain?
Yeah, hello, this is Alain Barrett. I've heard a lot of discussion about whether or not the authors of the two proposals should talk to each other, whether or not there should even be two proposals. And I suppose that discussion is useful to some extent, but I think it's carried on for a very long time. And I haven't heard any real discussion about the actual content of the proposals. So I would encourage people to discuss the content, please.
Thank you, Alain. The idea was to first talk around how we'd move forward with it. We will talk about the content in response to... Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I really want to point out something. First, I submitted the proposal because I never got answers in the mailing list. That's an important point, okay? Second, of course, it's true that maybe not what I am suggesting will be all adopted by the community. Of course not. But what may happen, and this is what I think we should take a look at, is I am trying to do what I believe is better for the community, which is a very simple update, while I believe that the other proposal is a very complex one. So even if both groups of authors talk together, maybe we don't reach a point because they insist, I don't know, I am just making up. Maybe they insist to keep all the 5 different phases that they have now. I mean, my point of view is we need to have it very, very simple. And it happens sometimes that you put a group of 10 people working together and they have 2 versions of the same work, and then the community as a whole need to decide on one or the other. And that's the reason why competing policy proposals sometimes are good. It may take longer time to put them together or to ask the community which one supports, but I think it's good to have competing policy proposals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that feedback, Jordi. I will take the last comment on that microphone. The mic queue was closed. It was closed, but I'll take her comment. Then my personal comments. Quickly, please.
My name is Temitope Bello from Nigeria. My own opinion over the policy argument is that I think the previous policy that we're using, it's quite okay. But if you feel there should be amendment, rather than wasting time, we have other things to do. Why not just unify the whole thing, or there should be a physical contact among the two authors, then we go ahead with other activities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Merci.
I know the mic queue is closed.
I was there.
You heard it was closed. Okay, 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Tu as quoi contre moi?
30 seconds.
D'accord, merci, c'est gentil.
I would like that Mr. Jody, if possible, to prove us, to send us the reference of the mail that you send. Honestly, I haven't seen it, that mail. So please, if possible, send us the reference of that mail that you have sent and to which you haven't received the answers. Then fine, we can carry on. Otherwise, it's useless. Thank you.
From what? Yeah, were you going to respond to something? Okay. Having looked at both policy proposals and having been a witness to what happens with proposals that are unduly complicated, I think that the community would benefit from Jody and the PDP-based authors working together. I, however, see that there is some disagreement between the approaches taken to dealing with these issues. A lot of us, or a lot of people in the community, seem to be of the opinion that the policy development process can be improved. Would you consider working together and combining your approaches? The PDP base wants to be exhaustive about it, deal with all the problems at once. You agree with a lot of the issues that are in the PDP base proposal. So can you work together in two phases? One, improve the text, and then two, see if there's a subset of it that can be pushed forward immediately that the community is ready to agree on and move forward with while you continue with the subsequent phases of improvement. Just my thoughts.
I think it would be easier the other way around.
Which way around would be easier?
Simplify PDPs.
Okay.
And improve the text.
So are you willing to work with them to simplify PDP base? Are you willing to work with him to simplify the text so that we can move forward faster?
Yes, if we can agree on the mindset, but I'm not being positive when I hear Jody, because he keeps saying that PDP-BIS is complex, but I don't see what is complex in PDP-BIS. So if we want to do this together, I think we have to first show a positive mind, but I think he's not in that move. Then this worries me a bit.
I think basically what I am trying to say is that we don't need, I think it's 5 different phases, adoption and discussion. I don't think we need all that. That's my main concern. And then there are a lot of small points, but they are easy to solve. But having 5 different, I think it's 5 different phases instead of just 3 as we have now, is no sense. Let's talk about it.
Okay, can I co-chairs? Yes, I think, okay, okay, I'm not going to address anymore why we should work together or not, please excuse me on this, but I want to go back on something I find very important is that I hear some people who say, oh, PDP is not broken. So if you look at me, I've been doing this for the last 15 years. So we are working based on experience. And we have had issue where the day before PDP, the co-chairs, the 2 co-chairs resigned. And we had no provision in the PDP how we address that. So the issue are so deeper than what we are addressing here. So what we are trying to do here is to solve so many issues, okay? But if you look at our proposal, we had two different documents. One is the PDP itself, and the other one is what we call a guideline for a working group. Because you'll be hearing that we have a PDP working group. If you have a working group has a guideline. How do you elect co-chair? So what if a co-chair resign, etc.? So that is a separate document. So I invite the community to really read or reach out to us, then we explain what is going on. So it's not that we want to simplify things. Yes, we had a case, we had a simplified PDP, but the co-chair are saying because we don't have this specific thing, we can't do this. But the old man said, and we all know, those of us who've been to IETF, to ICANN, we know that you can't get everything in written. There are common sense. There are common sense to address things. That's the problem. So it's not that simple. So sometimes you put yourself in, say, oh, it's not written there. When you try to do this, you say, oh, it's complicated. Yes. So honestly, I think we have to be consistent, okay? And we are capable of solving a problem. But please, Jordi, I think beside everything, you, excuse me, but you are a guest here. You are a guest here. So at some point, if we get to a point, okay, talking to how we address this community issue, I may beg you that you give me some credit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the very engaging session. We will not be making a call on this. Kindly allow us some time to engage with these gentlemen, probably have lunch with them, and then we'll resume after the lunch break. Break is... Okay, so we'll break for lunch now. This will be a working lunch for us. Please be back in the room by 2 p.m. Thank you.